Okay, if everyone can find a seat. Hi. Okay. Okay, welcome everybody to Open Mic Night number 91. We're getting closer to the 100 soon, next year now. Yeah, my name's Kev Howlett. I'm the owner of Busybird, and Les Zigamanis is our publications manager. And we'd both like to welcome everyone here for coming out on this really drizzly, cold Melbourne middle of winter night. So it's nice to see a nice crowd that have come out from their warm heaters in their house to come out to see us tonight. So I won't say too much. I'll just pass it over to Les so we can kind of get it going. But again, thank you, and please stick around after and all have a chat and have a drink after. So thank you.
Wow, you could have applauded the boss. It's late now, yeah? You've just been guilted into it. Tonight? So I've spoken to Kev and Shell, and Kev and I wanted you to have more time, but Shell said no, Dan, that you can only have 4 minutes because there's so many readers. So at 3 minutes 30, Shell's going to ding you once, and that shows you got half a minute left, and then at 4 minutes she'll ding you twice. You don't have to finish up right there, you know, in the middle of the sentence or whatever. Feel free to finish the sentence or paragraph, but don't sort of sit there, or don't stand here, please, and sort of go, oh, I've got 2 pages left, I'll finish that. So please observe the time limit, just simply because there's so many readers and otherwise would be here until midnight. And I'm sure people are dreading the cold going back out into it. So this is also being streamed to Facebook. So if nobody wants to be seen on Facebook Live, there's not really a lot we can do about it. So maybe just wear a balaclava or something. There's a lot of new faces here, which is great. So thank you for attending on such a cold night. And I'm going to read, or I'm going to pick people out in random order. I'm not picking them out in the order that they've written their names down, simply so we can mix it up. So I am going to start with, it's a really interesting thing. I'll be up here for 4.5 minutes. I am going to start with Robin. Yes, thanks, Robin. Who has some poetry, various. It says, everyone please welcome Robin.
I've done a bit of travel with my work, and I like to observe people, and I found a couple of poems I wrote when I was in San Francisco. This is called She. A note, a plea for help. She squatting at the curb, young, rough, but beautiful. She addicted. She desperate, pleading, needing help. No one came. The other one is called The Watched. This is also in San Francisco. 10 p.m, dark sky, quiet, high above the Sunday night city. She moves with superb grace, silently crisscrossing the cathedral forecourt, skates catching occasional flickers of light from the street lamps. Young, live, athletic, lost in her thoughts, a delight to watch, but seemingly unwatched. And this one is, sure a lot of you have been in love or would like to be in love, etc., but I just, and you all know Meatloaf, I will do anything for love. To walk the extra mile, to hold you in the rain, to walk holding your hand, to support you when you stumble, to laugh when you are funny and when you are not, to carry you when I can't even carry a brick, to love you until it hurts, to sing beside you when it is a joy to hear you, to know that you love me, to listen when I don't hear well, to see that truck coming and to do all within me, to calm you in the night, to stop it, to show you my soul, to love you until it hurts. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Robin. That was really poignant, that last one. So Gay and Robin have been regulars to Busy Bird Open Mic Night, and they share a beautiful repartee. Usually it's not that heart-rending. Usually it's a bit of banter. Can I call up, please? So there's a lot of new names here, which is why I'm sort of stalling a bit, because usually I know sort of what I'm probably going to get as I call it up, and I try and mix that up. But can I now call up another new name, Simon, who has some sci-fi called Field City? Everyone please welcome Simon.
Thanks, Les. Thanks. Good to see everyone. Now this is going to be a novel eventually, hopefully. So Field City, Chapter 1. The late morning sun burned amber and I tasted the grit in the air. My tunic flapped and I gripped the brochure. Its vegetable ink bled and mingled with sweat. My grandfather Sam was an old man, and I was going to see him at the home of the naturally aged. I rarely visited him now that Nan was gone, despite him being my one and only connection to her. I felt sadness that this could be our last encounter, but I wasn't going to be sad. I could be happy for the triumph of free choice. Could, in theory. There were too many unanswered questions to be content with his decision. It made no sense. Why stop treatment? Why would you want to forget everything, including your own family? Around me, insects navigated the turbulent wind, and magpies warbled in the eucalypts. I waded past crops of leafy greens and guilds of juvenile pumpkin, corn and beans, with their leaf margins burned from frost or the searing pre-equinox sun. You haven't lived until you've died. The sign passed above my head as I stepped through the threshold. The enclosed space soothed me. Dappled light twinkled through the vines above, and a soft splashing trickle replaced the gusty rhythm. I breathed deeply without coughing, and the hairs on my arms twitched as goosebumps formed. Earthen walls framed a path, and I allowed it to guide me along the tiled floor into a larger room. The only furniture was a reception desk with a thick glass top. A young woman with a blonde bun was standing behind the counter, conducting a pale blue airborne luminescent glow, and I caught a flash of brilliant aquamarine as she noticed me. She glanced down to the desk and touched a button. "Welcome to Hotner. How will I help you?" she said. She wore a white blouse overlaid with white lace. "Hi," I said. She raised her fist to the side of her face with thumb and pinky extended. I huffed. Her voice was filled with words and names I did not recognise, and I let them become background noise. A narrow slither of light stained the tilted wall opposite me, or was it a ceiling? I traced the colour up to a small vent near the apex, where tiny dead vine leaves accelerated through the opening to become part of the global haze. "Who are you here to see?" I took several paces to the side and looked beyond the far end of the room where tropical plants and the tumbling waterfall screened another room. I could make out several grey heads. "Hello?" I spun around. She was in front of me. Her hair flickered from a shade of sun-bleached pea straw mulch to a soft auburn as she stepped through the piercing sunlight. Her bun glowed like a halo. "I thought you were," I said, replicating her fist gesture. "All done." She was lean and her dark pants were snug. I went blank. As if my brain was reset, I remembered. "I'm here to see Sam." "A customer?" "Yes." She returned to her station, my gaze followed. I stepped to the side of the desk. The luminescence appeared as a galaxy of pixels projected from the desk. She resumed conducting. "Jay Robinson? That's me," I smiled. "I have all your details here except employment. Do you have a new employer since Live It All?" She glanced at me. "No." Silence. She grabbed a small device from her drawer. "I'll just need to give you a scan." "Sure." She approached and held it above my head. From up close I noticed that she wore no makeup and her hair had the aroma of tea tree and lavender. She looked at my eyes. "You've been out this morning?" "Yeah." "Your eyes are very red. I'll get you something for that." Thanks.
Thank you, Simon. Well, let me firstly, how many people are first-time readers, out of curiosity? No one? So everyone's... So Simon, well done. Great. So Busybird, the aim always here is to create a warm, nurturing environment. So that, you know, if anyone ever feels any nervousness coming up, there's no need, because there's nobody here who wants to see you fail. Everybody who wants to be part of the community, and everybody wants to see everybody do well. I am going to call up Kylie. So you've got a story. I don't know what the first word is. Is it a variety or?
No, it's Varley.
Viley. Okay. I'm not going to make fun of you because you have like a black belt.
I didn't bring it though.
Oh,
I'm not that short, Les.
sorry. Is that better?
Yeah. Is that good? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to skip into the middle of the story, but I'm not going to give you any background and you can just make it up. Varley looked up in surprise. He hadn't been thinking about anyone else and now saw the old lady from next door peering over the fence with a strange look on her face. He expected her to be angry, but she looked all calm instead. I wasn't throwing rocks at you," he answered timidly. "I was just chucking them at the fence." "But why?" the old lady replied. "Well, because I'm mad," huffed Varley. "I want all the colours to come back. Everything else is gone. Why do they have to go too?" "Oh dear," said the old lady. "Whatever do you mean?" "Can't you see?" Varley asked. "Everything is all grey. It's all dull and dreary. The colours have all vanished." The lady murmured, almost thinking out loud. "I think I can see what is happening here. Although, you know, my hair has been grey for a very long time, and I don't think it's a terrible shade after all." Then she chuckled at her own little joke. Varley didn't really get the joke, and he didn't feel like laughing either. So he just stared at the lady, hoping she was about to explain everything. Rather than answer, however, the lady instead asked Varley a weird question. "Do you want to see my garden? It's my favourite place to be." "Well, I'm not allowed to go to a stranger's house, so I can't see your garden," replied Varley. "Ah, but there is indeed a way to see it without looking. But first, please call me Valerie. And what is your name?" Varley smiled a little as he told her his name, and they both thought it was interesting that their names were so similar. "So how do I see your garden?" asked Varley, now a little intrigued. "Well, here's the thing," she said. "Your eyes aren't the only thing to see with. Our minds and our imagination are extremely powerful tools. They are always available, and we can use them whenever and however we choose." Varley didn't really know what she was talking about, and his head kind of tilted to one side like a confused puppy who was trying to hear better or something, and one eyebrow squished down and the other rose up like he was trying to think harder too. "Whatever do you mean?" Varley asked. With a little smile, the lady said, "Why don't you sit down and close your eyes and listen very carefully while I tell you all about my garden. Try to picture it in your mind, making sure to capture all the tiny details. These are important," she explained. Varley thought this was silly, and there was no way to see someone's garden without looking. He did not, however, like what he could see right now anyway, so he figured he would try, even if it was just to waste some time. Okay, said Varley, almost begrudgingly. I'll try. Varley sat down, leant his back against the fence, crossed his legs and waited. Are your eyes closed? Asked the old lady. Yes, said Varley. Okay, take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth and count in your head as you do it, she explained. Try to breathe in and out for as long as you can. Make sure to breathe with your belly and imagine your breath as light, like hundreds of tiny fireflies, and watch the light with your mind as it goes into your nose, then down your body into your belly. Once there, it makes a big ball of light swirling all around before making its way back up and out through your mouth. Varley thought the lady was a little crazy, but he did say he would try. So he did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counts in, and then he imagined the big swirly light, then out 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, I'm not good at this, exclaimed Varley, annoyed. It's not about good or bad, said Valerie gently. It's about the doing. The only bad thing you can do is stop trying. So keep going now, 2 more times. Varley tried again. This time he counted in for 9 and out to 16. Wow, I'm getting better, he thought to himself. And suddenly he could see the light a little brighter in his mind, behind closed eyelids, of course. After his 3rd breath, Valerie quietly asked Varley to say 3 things he felt in his body. But I thought you were going to tell me a story about your garden, he asked. Yes, I will, replied the lady. Just don't be in a rush. You first need to get ready to see. The more relaxed you are, the more patient you are, the more you will be able to visualize. Again, Varley figured the lady was a bit cuckoo due to being alone all the time, but he was still kind of curious, so he did as requested. I'll stop.
Thanks, Kylie. So Kylie's the author of, is it 2 books? So, a children's book, Waiting for Sanjay. Pronounced that right? Yes. And mother lover, woman warrior. How would you describe that?
It's a guidebook for being everything to everyone and doing it imperfectly.
That's a good description. So thank you, Kylie. Another Busy Bird author, Sandra Harwood. This is you, isn't it, Sandra, down here? So everyone please welcome Sandra. So, yeah, come around. I'm just trying to gauge the microphone height and not get shouted at this time.
Thank you.
Not get ripped into.
Thank you. This is just called Self-Care and a Piece of Peace. Mindset, empowerment, honouring the moment, releasing judgment of self and others, and of how life should be. Notice judgments. They're filled with stories, not necessarily relevant to this moment, causing unnecessary conflict within, loaded with expectations of ourselves, of others. So I pause. I create some space between me and the world around me, between me and my thoughts, my experiences, my feelings. And I choose to be kind. I choose to be kind to myself. I choose to honour my feelings and thoughts, experiences, and just allow all the thoughts and feelings to just flow. I just surrender. And in surrendering comes a space for transformation. And then I remember, I have choice. I can choose this story or that story. I can choose to see things a certain way. I can choose to be open-minded. I can choose to expand and grow through this. Choice. I choose self-care and to enjoy a piece of peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. So Sandra's another author who's written Creating Mindful Moments, School of Boring, Weedy Thoughts, and Each Moment. And you're working on another book now also. And also, sorry, what's the new book about?
It's called The Land of Us, and it's just about creating this current BS that we're living pretty much.
Okay, cool. So look, if anyone has a book they need to spruik, this is the place to do it. Don't feel shy. And as an author, writing the book's the easy bit, selling it's the really hard bit. So if you've got to hustle your book, this is the place to do it, and just let people know that it exists. Another Busy Bird author, and someone who just had a birthday, I believe. Happy birthday, Michelle Burke. What made you think I was calling you up? Everyone, please welcome Michelle Burke.
How are we going, everybody? We good? We feeling all these lovely energies coming in? We feeling exhausted? Yes? We want to curl up and sit in front of a fire? Well, I'm Michelle Burke, and I'm an author of 3 books, travelled around the world with a cardboard cutout of my late husband. But we've heard all that story before. Well, most of us have anyway. 2 years ago, I was invited to go to a winter solstice writing retreat, and we just happened to be in the winter solstice tonight. Well, thank you. Or do you want to promote these? First book, Conversations with Paul, was about my husband's journey of cancer journey. Then I travelled around the world with him, 5'9" cardboard cutout, the most famous cardboard cutout in the world, and I'm the only widow that travelled around the world with a cardboard cutout. So we had a hoot, and we were, we went viral, 7 countries and 60 media outlets in 2019, and my last book was Death, Dying and Beyond. So it talks about preparing for death, and as I am a medium and very spiritual, it has the A to Z of all things spiritual. So going back to my winter's retreat. So I had this lovely winter's retreat with Blaze and quite a few other people, and she set us some homework. And the homework was, she set a photo of a little cup, and it was, she said, there are 2 cups left that are my favourite. Everyone in my house knows to give me this cup and no other. The cup is sitting on a stone picked up last month from the river near where I grew up. This place was devastated by bushfires last year. There is a lot of history and emotion wrapped up in the image for me. Your task is to write 1 page using this image as inspiration. It can be something related to a work you have in progress or something completely new. It can be a poem, a story, an essay, memoir, whatever you like. You are not allowed to go over 500 words, and the piece must be self-contained. You can describe this item or not, up to you. It's meant to spark something in you, real or imagined. Please try to use all the senses in the writing: sight, sounds, touch, taste, smell, and even spirit, if you feel so inclined. So because for me, writing is, I get downloads and off it goes. I'm one of fortunate people that it just comes very easily and naturally. And so when I sort of added the taste and sound, it just made me think more about how I would write this piece. So this is what I wrote. My cup overflows with memories. Sitting on the veranda in my favourite chair, I gaze, watching the flames flicker in the fire pit. The strong, acrid smoke fills my nostrils as I feel the warm air surround me, keeping off the chill as I stare into the darkness at the majestic cathedral mountains directly in front of me. I ponder. I look up into the dark sky, watching the stars dancing as I try to identify the different planets and make a wish to the universe as the cool, crisp night air nips at my face. In the distance, I hear the hoot of the southern boobook owl as the trees swayed slightly, with their leaves rustling softly in the night air. My favourite cup held tightly in my hands, keeping them warm from the hot black tea I had just made. I take a hesitant sip from my cup, trying not to burn my lips, mouth or tongue, tasting the strong Earl Grey tea. I was in my happy place, feeling relaxed and at peace as the memories came flooding back. And there you go. You have to wait next week.
Thanks, Michelle. Just remember, out of how many people here? About 26? I was the only one to say happy birthday. These people didn't even applaud Kev before either. Sorry, I'm not trying to stir trouble, but we can't upset Kev. He's back there. Yeah, it's over. Is anyone who wants to read or perform who didn't get a chance to put their name on the list? No one? Liz? Jim, you're on here? Yep, cool. I was actually going to call you off next. So, Jim has a piece which segues from Michelle talking about the retreat with Blaze, and Jim has a piece called A Tribute to Blaze, Colours. So everyone please welcome Jim.
Yeah, good evening, folks. I've actually been involved, with this venue, for quite some time, and I think everybody was shocked, by Blaze's, untimely, departure from our group. So just bear with me, with the vagaries of technology. I'd like to read you, my tribute, and it's called Farewell, Blaze Van Heck, a Celtic ballad. We tried to say goodbye to you, but couldn't. We've spoken to a restless spirit, contained behind a veil, a tyranny of distance, another of the mind. You took your parting from this place across a mountain range. To better see the view, you climbed till you surveyed a sea, another further shore. Adventurous spirit you ever were, farewell, Blaze Van Heck. May you reach your further shore. Yeah, thank you. I'd please like to read you next one of my romantic vignettes. It's in case any of you don't know about it, Beaujolais Nouvelle is a French wine that's harvested early, fermented, bottled, and you've actually got to drink it at the time, or it has to be laid down. So this vignette poem, is partly autobiographical and about some dalliances, we used to have in France. And it's called Beaujolais Nouvelle. Autumnal fields within your arms and golden fields of corn with Beaujolais Nouvelle. I say your name, you say mine, and walks through cornfields gold. Holding my hand, twilight, not quite dark, the skylarks trilling, not quite gone, the poppies red and cornflowers blue. We lived on Brie, baguette, Beaujolais Nouvelle. We lived and loved each other through the summer long, fading into the autumn dusk, and Beaujolais Nouvelle. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to read an early one. This is another vignette, similar sort of thing, semi-autobiographical, and this piece is called Crazy Fox. This came out of a group down at the Diamond Valley Learning Centre, where we put two random names, in a box. We drew out two random names, and I got the words Crazy and Fox, and this is what came out of it. It's a poem called Crazy Fox. We tread the precarious crumbling path, atop the cliff, wild waves below, a humbling display of nature's wrath, fierce delight, each face aglow, a wild deserted spindrift strand, a red gold mane of tousled hair, a mischievous spirit holds my hand, before the waves, a game of dare. Catch me, she shouts, running up the beach, towards the bleak and dripping rocks. I take off running, she's out of reach, in pursuit of my crazy fox. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. This is a new book by Busy Bird, At the Noisy Cafe, which is a collection of poems by Joe Dolce. Blazer actually called him Dad Plus One, so Blazer's stepdad. He is releasing his first poetry anthology, so he's a renowned poet and musician. Next open mic night where he's actually going to be the featured artist. That doesn't mean that, you know, we're not going to have anyone else involved. It's still going to be open mic night as usual, but he'll also be here to promote his book. And he'll be having a book launch 28th of July at Poet House, along with a new exhibition by Blazer's mum, Liz Van Heck. So that's actually the raffle door prize today, so make sure you keep your raffle ticket. No one's throwing it away, hopefully. Usually the person who wins is sitting next to Richard Trembar, who's just sitting there looking grave. So Sandra Harwood may win it. Sorry, get back in front of the microphone. So Busy Bird's always been small. It's always been like about 2 to 4 people, and then it's relied on a community of volunteers, so people such as interns who come in here to learn, and the interns who show an aptitude for editing that, we usually keep on as editors. So one of those interns who's now an editor is Carly, who's sitting right there. She's probably embarrassed because I was embarrassed when she's here. She's a fantastic editor. She's a great illustrator. She's a very talented author. I'm not calling you up right now, though. We also have another intern here. I don't know if she wants to me embarrass her, but I will. Her name is Sky. She's sitting 2 to the left of Carly. And she's also shows a lot of talent for editing. So I'm just going on a bit of this tangent just to talk about the people who help Busy Bird out. Another one's Oscar, who's sitting back there just waiting for food to be spilled. He really boosts the morale around here. We always say when he's not around, you really notice that he's not around. But another person who has worked with Busy Bird and also just continues to help regardless is Shell. So she is on the bell. Oh, no, she's right there in front of me. So I went on this big spiel so we could introduce Shell, who's reading a memoir called Test Number 3. Is that it? Everyone please welcome Shell.
I'm nervous. Hi, I'm Shell. My thing is true stories. About a year ago, friends invited me to go on my very first camping trip to the Bungles, and I was put through 3 tests before they'd let me go. This is test number 3. Warning, the F word does turn up, block your ears. I passed 2 of Ev's 3 tests for the trip to the Bungles. The last one was the compatibility test with his long-term friends, Theda, who he nicknamed Teddy, and her partner Dean. This was not a casual meet and greet, but a calculated arrangement to observe my interaction with them, skipping some bits, getting to dinner. It was a bone-chillingly cold night in Diamond Creek, where Teddy and Dean lived in a house with a calf-rippingly steep driveway. Despite the cold, the front door was open, so I called out from the other side of the flywire door, "Hello! Come in," someone responded. I made my way to the kitchen where Ev, Dean and Teddy were already in the thick of a conversation, skipping some bits. Dean warned me of how things were likely to be travelling with Ev, a cautionary tale, if you will. The test was starting. We were in Central Australia travelling down a dusty road where we saw a sign for Aboriginal art. Our other friend Glenn was interested in purchasing some authentic artwork, so we followed the signs which crossed into restricted land, a place exclusively for an Aboriginal community. We parked outside the local pub and looked about for the signs to the art display. There were none. So Ev went into the pub to make inquiries. We waited in the car thinking he'd be in and out. Glenn started to get jumpy because Ev still wasn't out after nearly half an hour. He was bouncing in his seat screaming, "What the? It's taking him so long. It's just a simple question. Which way to the art? It doesn't take half an hour." At the dinner table, Ev listened with his lips turned up at the corners. He knew where this story was going and took the next leg. I was inside, and you can just imagine it. I'm the only white guy in a pub on a restricted Aboriginal reserve. I walk in, and all the men turn to look at me. They all stop talking. Then one of them comes up to me and says, "You can't be here, man. You've got to go." When I didn't turn, the rest of the men walked up, but I didn't move. "I'm just trying to find the art. My friend wants to buy your art," I said rationally. "You can't be here, you've got to leave." "But the sign on the road said we can buy art here." "There's no art here. You can't stay. Get out now." "Okay, I will. But can you just explain to me, please, why there's a sign on the road pointing this way to buy art? Can you just tell me that, please?" I imagined it as Ev painted the picture. The men in the pub paused for a moment. None of them knew the answer, but less how to deal with a man clearly out of place, but not out of his comfort zone. Someone locked in a power battle, but showing not a hint of aggression. Someone with such infallible reasoning that it diluted the testosterone from their brains and uncurled the punch from their fists. I didn't know it then, but this was a typical Ev move. He did not see aggression or conflict the same way as others. He didn't respond to intimidation with timidity or fright. Instead, he viewed it with curiosity and hoped it was an opportunity to play. Dean picked up the commentary again. Glenn was debating whether or not to go in and rescue Ev when he appeared in the car park. We see him come out with this group of men behind him, and they don't look happy. Ev has the keys, so he can't even start the car to get away. When he gets back in the car, he's as cool as a cucumber, wants to tell us how it went, but Glenn's screaming, "Just get in the fucking car, Ev! I want to get back out of here! Shut up, Ev! Just go!" Teddy says, "Are you okay, Ev?" Ev's just sitting in the driver's seat smiling to himself as if he's remembering some vision of God from one of his meditations, and he just smiles and says, yeah, I'm fine. Then he adds, "They don't sell art." The story over, Dean looks directly at me, knowing I'm the uninitiated, and says, "That was my first trip with Ev. Consider yourself warned." By now, the whites of my eyes are on display. I have my hands over my mouth. I'd stopped breathing. I looked at Dean and replied obediently, "I've got it. I promise. I won't buy any art."
Thank you, Shell. Hopefully we don't have any children in attendance. Lila has a song. She doesn't know yet which song it's going to be. And while I was mentioning Busy Bird people, we also have one of our editors here, Meg. Sorry, I meant to mention you, I just forgot because I'm old and forgetful. So as Lila's coming up, if you have any editing questions, just shoot them at Meg. Meg said, she's happy to just field any question anytime at any point in the day. So she's shaking her head, but she does that. Lila, do you want a stool or something to sit on? Maybe? That's not a yes or no. We don't know. We still don't know, yes or no.
Step on that.
This room. Try not to be potty mouth like that last person.
I've decided which song I will sing. I'm gonna sing 8 by Billie Eilish, and I played it at my last concert, which was on Monday. Wait a minute, let me finish. I know you don't care, but can you listen left me gladly. I know you're not sorry. Why should you be? 'Cause who am I to be in love when your love never is for me?
Wow, thank you. Can I ask how old you are? 9. What have the rest of you been doing with your lives since you were 9? God! You weren't even around when the first open mic night happened, and you just upstaged them all. Jeez, I'd really hate to follow that, wouldn't you, Carly? Everyone, please, thank you very much, Leigh. That was fantastic. Everyone, please welcome Carly. Oh, you're bringing another intern with you.
That one up. I need Sky here so she can hold a drawing up for you. That's okay. Where is it?
Shannon, that used to be you.
There you go. It was very lovely. I love that. So currently I am writing a novel for children, ages 10 to 14, so maybe near you. And it's all based in South Australia, where I grew up, so up on the Riverlands. That's where I did all my school camps, where I did canoeing and kayaking and all that. And I started writing this in like COVID times, so obviously getting a bit nostalgic for being out and about, and then I was like, oh, that'd be a fun children's novel. So I guess I'll write something like that and maybe put in some magical powers and see how that goes. So lovely Sky is holding up the main characters. So if you want to have a closer look, you can come up after and just ask about it. So yeah, let's hope I don't stumble and fumble and all that good stuff. Oh, good. That's a murderer. He's not a murderer, Addison. There was a tired sigh in Dad's voice. I glanced out of the windscreen again to the tall man standing by the river. The water glittered behind him as he made a show of ticking things off his clipboard and counting the canoes. We were wearing the exact same khaki uniform, but he had the socks pulled all the way up to his knees. That's a murderer. Dad cut the engine and I shifted beneath my camp bag. The half-hour drive it took to get to Murray Bridge had been accompanied by a stream of AC/DC songs. It was 7 a.m. and way too early for that many guitar solos, but I kind of missed the excuse not to talk. Dad pulled at some fraying threads on his shorts. His tank top bore a collection of tomato sauce stains, but for him he was dressing up. He had to go to the office and I was delaying him. Even as we sat, his phone lit up, buzzing, and he muttered something about the Victorians being impatient. "You have so much fun," he said to me, declining the call. "You'll get out on the water and before you know it, you'll forget about everything else." I stared ahead. "And," Dad added, thumping the window as he pointed, "you'll make new friends. Lucas is just there. Did you see?" I saw. It was hard to miss the head of white blonde hair. Lucas was standing with 2 other kids at the park's small attraction, a rocky man-made cave with a bunyip animatronic inside. They were laughing as it emerged from the water and growled at them. I burrowed deeper into my seat. Lucas was the reason why I didn't want to be there. "Come on, Addison. They're waiting for you." I exhaled so hard my left nostril whistled. I was determined to sit there until Dad had no choice but drive us back home. It was my backup plan, I decided, if the weeks of grumbling hadn't convinced him. And I probably would have succeeded if Dad didn't have his own backup plan. He looked me straight in the eye and farted. I fumbled for the door and nearly crumpled to the ground on the way out. Don't judge me. If you smelled my dad's farts, you'd get out too. I shouldered my camp bag. On the other side of the ute, Dad lowered his window enough to stick his out, "Hey, I love you, okay? Okay. Make friends, okay? Okay. And be good. If you need anything." The rest was drowned out by a guitar solo as he started the ute up again. Dad shot me a shuckers and pulled out of the car park. I wanted to sink into the pavement. Out in the cool air, exposed in my scout uniform with the magpies warbling overhead, the finality set in. I was doing this. "Addison, right?" the counsellor called, waving both arms. He waited for me to walk over. "How are you? Are you excited? Pumped? Sure. Fantastic." His smile shone brightly amongst his thick, curly beard. He was in his 20s, but his face was tanned and weathered from what I guess were days under the sun. And he was super tall, but maybe that seemed that way in comparison to Dad, who was built like a jockey and wouldn't let Mum wear heels. "My name's Costas," he said, holding out his hand for me to shake. "I'm your scout counsellor, which makes me your first aid, chef, teacher, and anything else you might need." He glanced back at the car park. "Your parents couldn't come?" "Dad had to work." "Oh, and Mum?" I thought about Mum at the gym in her yoga pants with the flower on the bum that would expand 3 times its size when she bent over. "Couldn't make it," I said, more for his sake than mine. "Ah," he blinked. "Makes sense." Troy wouldn't want to make a fuss. It would be better if the others didn't know, don't you think? "You know, Dad?" But if Costas heard me, he didn't show it. He grinned over my shoulder and flipped his papers over like all the preparations were complete. "Troop 23, he called. To me. My troop mates turned away from the Bunyip Cave. Costas pointed to the tall First Nations boy jumping through the fence. "Scott?" He then flicked to the Asian girl walking down the curve path. Mallory and Lucas. Pale and skinny, Lucas had to hunch forward to balance under his camp bag. He played with the straps and wouldn't meet my eyes. I could not blame him. I shook the memories of Year 7 away. I think I'll end there.
Thanks, Carly, and I also noticed you referred to Sky as the lovely Sky. You eviscerated Kevin in the blog, but she's a lovely Sky. So there's a blog that Carly put up about a month ago, which was about her interning here. It was a comical blog. Well, most of it was. The bit about Oscar was a little bit horrifying. I was actually going to promote this next reader's book, but I can see he's got it in his hand. Steve DeGarda is a novelist, comedian, playwright, actor, man of many hats. So everyone please welcome Steve.
Thank you very much. From all that, and yet I make my money as a civil engineer, so go figure. Yes, my book is called Pope Dreams. I happen to have a few copies available for sale with me, if anyone's interested. And what I'm going to talk about today, before I published a novel, I actually contributed to a couple of published anthologies, which is arranged by a lady called Antoinette Pellegrini. First one was Live Your Truth. Second one was A Message to Your Younger Self. Now, we're actually launching the latest series in the anthology, which is called The Spirit Within. And that's going to be launched on the 8th of July at the Green Hills Community House. So it'll be on Eventbrite. Look up The Spirit Within. So I'm going to read a bit of that to you today, of my piece in that one. And my piece in this anthology goes some of the way to explain the inspiration that led to this. So it's called The Paths to Enlightenment. We are not part of a multiverse. Therefore, we must all have a singular origin and a shared creation story. Does that mean that there must be a definitive creator? Does it matter that different cultures have different beliefs about how we came to be? Intuitively, many of us know that there is more to life than our mere biological existence. That we acknowledge and celebrate the spiritual awareness in many varied ways reflects our cultural diversity and is essentially just a different means of achieving the same end. The mainstream religion into which I belong is Roman Catholicism. It is the faith I was born into and the faith of my ancestors for many centuries. It shares its Abrahamic origins with Judaism and Islam, which can be traced back many millennia. Like many others of Southern European and West Asian descent, my religious affiliation is part of my cultural makeup. For most people who choose to identify as Catholic, this cultural connection is enough. They see themselves as good, decent people who care for their fellow man, and sacraments such as baptism, First Communion, confirmation, and holy matrimony are largely seen as cultural rites of passage. Providing they go through the motions, occasionally attend services, and defer to the clergy for spiritual guidance, they are fulfilling their religious obligations. And the church hierarchy is happy to keep them as members of the Catholic Club. My problem is that, as a teenager, I decided to investigate the religion more closely. And for my generation, this all happened at a time shortly after the Second Vatican Council, when the Catholic Church was going through a reformation of sorts. So the religion I got to know was more closely aligned to the concept of a universal church, as opposed to a doctrinal church. Little was I to know that this was a short-lived hiatus, and the church hierarchy would soon regroup to reimpose doctrinal controls. Thank you. If you want to learn more about the Second Vatican Council, there's a chapter in here.
Thanks, Steve. Right, how do I do that? Cheryl's asked me to promote something, and now she's just run off into the kitchenette. There's a choir performance. The piece is Arvo Part Seidman, Magnificent Antiphonon, beautiful music in 7 short movements. You'll be able to check it out on YouTube or Spotify. If you can't attend, please bring a cushion and blanket for your knees, which sounds a little bit sordid, but what are you doing here, Shell? It's Wednesday, 28th June, 7:30 p.m, Sacred Heart Church, Carlton, corner of Rathdown and Pelham Streets. Dinner afterwards, Lygon Street, if you wish. Anything on add, Shell?
It's free.
Oh, it's free. Couldn't tell by the cushion line. Next.
I did check it out on YouTube, and it's otherworldly. It's like angels singing.
Okay, so I encourage you all to check it out. Our next reader is a long-time attendee to Busybird Publishing, Gay. She's got 2 books out, The Secret Smile and Just Walk With Me. She's a really talented poet, very self-deprecating and very funny. Everyone please welcome Gay.
After sitting that long, I can hardly walk. I don't think it should affect the poetry. Thank you.
Put it under the desk.
This is what I was preparing for, Kylie. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm sure that's fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm standing a foot away, so...
I actually wasn't asking you.
Oh. I'll just slink off, tail between the legs. If I was Tasmanian and had a tail.
I'm going to read a poem to you. It's called My Great Wake. This little poem is to be put aside, to be opened by family after I've died. These instructions are to be strictly kept. No small spaces. I want an above-ground crypt. And just in case I'm really not dead, I want a mobile phone and a light overhead. The church service needs to be so neat. I've noticed the hymns to include on the service sheet, and I'm so pleased about the photos I've decided to put in. They've been all touched up so I look super slim. Leaving the church, Hey Big Spender will play. Of course it will play in the loudest possible way, and outside motorbikes will take me in tow, and with a roar of their engines off we'll go. Meanwhile, there'll be afternoon tea in the hall. There'll be sandwiches, slices, cream cakes and all. You better watch your children around the cake. On second thoughts, no. Let them enjoy my great wake. And just a small one, if I can find it. This is called the workout. Muscles burning, I feel the pain. I grit my teeth and feel the strain. I can do it. I try not to frown. The weight is lifted now to go slowly down. The lift is complete, but that's only the first. So much effort, I think I'm going to burst. I'm already puffing, my face is bright red. Now to get the other leg out of bed.
And it's true.
We'll be finished.
Thank you, Gay. So is there a third collection in the works?
Nearly fell off. Let's see. I've got
Blame Robin.
yeah.
He's your husband. You can blame him.
I've got all the poems, but I just haven't got round to coming down and talking to you.
Okay. Well, you're here now, so. No. I've only got two more readers for the night, which are Paul and Richard. So is there anyone else who wants to read who hasn't gotten their name down, who was potentially wanted to read and now does want to read? I'm just sort of looking around. Anyone? I can see there's some people in the second row who are looking at each other like, yeah, you're going to go, aren't you? They're looking at you, okay. No pressure, but now the spotlight's on you.
I could, but I'm just not sure if I can do it without the book. I could try.
You can try if you like. Sorry.
Understanding that I don't quite get it.
Yeah, sorry. Your name?
Janet.
Janet. You did the...
Man from Ironbark.
Yes, I remember that.
This one's Mulder Bill's bicycle.
Okay, well, everyone please welcome Janet.
Thanks. Another Banjo Patterson poem. It was Mulga Bill from Eagle Hawk who caught the cycling craze. He turned away the good old horse that served him many days. He dressed himself in cycling clothes, resplendent to be seen, and hurried off to town and bought a shiny new machine. And as he wheeled it through the door with air of lordly pride, the grinning shop assistant said, "Excuse me, can you ride?" "See here, young man," said Mulga Bill, "from Walgett to the sea, from Conroy's Gap to Castlereagh, there's none can ride like me. I'm good all round at everything, as everybody knows. Although I'm not the one to talk, I hate a man that blows. But riding is my special gift, my chiefest sole delight. Just ask a wild duck, can it swim? A wild cat, can it fight? There's nothing clothed in hair or hide, or built of flesh or steel. There's nothing walks or jumps or runs on axle, hoof or wheel. But what I'll sit while hide will hold, and girths and straps are tight, I'll ride this here two-wheeled concern straight away at sight." 'Twas Mulga Bill from Eagle Hawk who sought his own abode. It perched above the Dead Man's Creek, beside the mountain road. He turned the cycle down the hill and mounted for the fray, and ere he'd gone a dozen yards it bolted clean away. It left the track and through the trees just like a silver streak. It whistled down that awful slope towards the Dead Man's Creek. What's the next bit? It shaved a stump by half an inch and dodged a big white box. The very wallaroos in fright went scrambling up the rocks. The wombats hiding in their caves dug deeper underground. But Mulga Bill, as white as chalk, sat tight to every bound. It struck a stone and gave a spring. It cleared a fallen tree. It raced beside a precipice as close could be. And then, as Mulga Bill let out one last despairing shriek, it made a leap of 20 feet into the Dead Man's Creek. It was Mulga Bill from Eagle Hawk who slowly swam ashore. He said, "I've had some narrow shaves and lively rides before. I've rode a wild bull round a yard to win a £5 bet. But that was sure the darndest ride that I've encountered yet. We'll leave this two-wheeled outlaw..." Hang on. Something about the two-wheeled outlaw best. It's shaken all my nerve to see it whistle through the air and plunge and buck and swerve. It's safe at rest in Dead Man's Creek. We'll leave it lying still. A horse's back is good enough henceforth for Mulga Bill.
You read it so well, I think nobody really noticed that you were doing the little pauses. So well done. Thank you, Janet. And I mean, it shows you sort of what a nurturing environment that it is. You're relatively new to open mic nights. I think this is your third one, Paul. So, Paul has been great. You had a two-parter over the last 2 months. So everyone please welcome Paul, who has poetry various, he says.
Every once in a while, we get stung with the urgency to say or to write something. How many of you has this happened to? Been stung with an urgency to write or to say something? I don't believe there's only a few if you've not even putting your hands up. You're not true. Well, I'm going to share with you a few poems that I got stung to write. It's from an unpublished book called Who Am I? Spelled H-U-E. And we see how we go, shall we? Let's see with the microphone. Let's get to it. Yesterday, I felt Japan coming on. Ikigai is the art of doing something meaningful. When disappearance reappears, maybe there is something in the heart of nothingness, besides an emptiness. Nowhere is somewhere. The reality of the invisible made manifest. Who am I? I witnessed the chair I used to sit upon, the cobwebs shiver when I have passed. When I placed myself on the chair, the cushion did not compress, and the old oak chair did not creak nor moan. Only the moving cobwebs sensed my spirit. I chuckled and mined. Cobwebs are spiritual dream catchers. Who am I? I do not search or seek this body of mine in another light of darkness, even though it's problematic, 70 years and 10 worn. It has served and housed my spirit well. To choose another light of darkness would be like walking through the puddles rather than around them. It is better to keep your spirit dry than wet. Soon enough, though, your heavenly cloud will find you when you least expect it, and that's okay. Who am I? I write and speak love in the same language with the same pen, but with different ink on different bare sheets. Bare sheets of paper express volumes of apologies. Apologies for the blotches. Who am I? My heart soars to the land of the samurai, with a blade that knows not cut of flesh, blood, or crushed bones. Upon the mighty sword my blossom-sapped wings once perched. My spirit soiled the land of the samurai and grew tall as blossoms. My wings did fall as autumn leaves, then bud in spring. My fearless spirit lingers in the land of the samurai. I hover a deathless love, breathes a deathless life. Birds, bees and songs celebrate my being. My spirit soiled the land of the samurai. Who am I? The ever-present moments dissolve into the now dissolves into the present. Who am I? Looking out into the night sky, your eyes are touching the universal skin of space. Within that skin lives the body of divinity, whose eyes feel and connect you miraculously. Who am I? Sometimes in life we need to cut off. It reminds me of our weaving seasons before we grow forward, outward and inward. Pruning reduces the stature before regrowth, development, a growth analogy with great intent, a living purpose. A life force within helps develop our character. The shedding, evolving, shedding constantly, constant autumn springs upon us like a hen on his egg. Who am I?
Thank you, Paul. After the last reader, before I go on the last reader, does anyone have any announcements they want to make? Anyone want to announce a book launch or an event or
Spirit Within book launch.
Spirit Within book launch?
8th of July.
8th July.
Green Hills Community House.
Green Hills Community House. What time?
2 p.m.
2 p.m. So there's one to put in your books. Anyone else got anything? Sorry, did you put your hand up, Richard? No, I'm just imagining things. You are putting your hand up? You're not putting your hand up? No, okay. All right. What, to have a launch? And for the last reader of the night, everyone please welcome Richard Trembar, who just put his hand up.
Thank you, Les. Some of us obviously have written new material for tonight, and I'm not among those, so I'll read some of my old stuff. I'm sure that there are some among us here tonight who will be able to identify with this first one. It's called The Day We Walked Away. Where have you gone? Each way I turn, the path is blocked with barricades. Where I must look, what must I do to find your laughter once again? Are we so changed that we, the we that once we were, is just a half-forgotten dream? Are we but memories of happier times, shared joys, ambitions, plans? How did we slide from such a peak? When did the fledgling drift of snow become an avalanche? How do we turn back time and heal the wounds? Too late? Perhaps. But we will not forget the view that once we shared from this life's highest peaks, the mountain air, the laughter in life's spring. You will remain a part of me and I of you, regardless of what autumn brings, or where its narrowing paths may lead. Which path, I ask? There are so many, and I know that you are there, just out of sight, beyond the bend of one of them. Which path? Which barricade? In which direction did you go the day we turned our backs and walked away? And as they say in Monty Python, and now for something completely different. I'll read the introduction to this first. On a hill beside the main Hobart Road, 20 kilometres south of Launceston, stands a lone tree. It was on this tree that during the days when Tasmania was a penal colony in the early 1800s, the bodies of executed criminals were hung as a deterrent to passers-by. And this is called The Tree on Gibbet Hill. Beneath your dying splintered boughs, midst rocks the horses graze. Your broken, withered limbs give not a hint of earlier days. Days when you bore your dreadful fruit, when human life you craved, when haunted, hell-bound sinners you denied the very grave. The days when you defiant stood, a warning to the land, of mankind's inhumanity and death's swift icy hand. The ghost of one such tortured soul, they say, lurks with you still, and curses those who scorn the dead who hung on Gibbet Hill. But time is past, men's ways are changed, and your dread days are o'er. You stand a broken monument to times that are no more. Perhaps when your time comes and you return unto the earth, your passing will release the souls and grant them second birth. The highwayman, the murderer, the fool, the thief, the cheat, who rotted on your boughs, denied the sinner's crimson sheet, denied in death the dignity of but a pauper's whole. Perhaps your death at last will grant repose unto his soul. And you will be a legend, voiceless, lingering in the night, with no man left to tell your tale and naught to mark your sight. The land shall know tranquility, the lost soul's voice be still, as horses yet unborn graze midst the rocks on Gibbet Hill. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Just got a message from Anna, who just had to leave, and her car's been blocked by, she says it looks like a bronze metallic car, license plate WCM667. Does anyone know whose car that is? Oh. She'll be back. What's your raffle ticket number? D23, thanks. Okay, so that was the last of the readers tonight. Look, you know, we always have a fun night here, but Paul brought up a good point. There's a lot of people who want to write stuff, or are thinking of writing stuff, or have been, you know, chipping away at it. You know, we don't know how much time we have left on this earth, so if you're writing something, try it, you know, get it out there, because one day we're all going to be gone, and what do we leave behind? Sorry, not meaning to be depressive, but it is the truth. I commend, sorry, I don't know your name, Lila's mother. Sorry? Kari. So well done on nurturing your daughter at 9 years old. She was fantastic. You know, that's awesome. And without meaning to do right anyone else, you probably stole the show. So all the rest of you can just quit. I mean, what have you been chasing all your lives? You got a 9-year-old girl who's beating you all. Don't mean to embarrass you. So we have a raffle ticket. The prize is Joe Dolce's first poetry anthology, so please take out your raffle ticket. I have a book launch 5th of August, 2 p.m. at Buck Mulligan's for a YA novel called This. You're all invited, even the ones of you I don't know. I respect you all, especially if you buy a book. I respect you more then. Sorry, did someone ask me a question? I don't know. August 5th. Someone's apparently going away during that time. I don't want to embarrass who they are, but I'm sure she could fly back if she really needed to. Of course, I'm talking about Ruja. Okay, so here we go. For Joe Dolce's book, why do I have OCD? So I could probably do this a while. Anyone in a rush? Anyone need dialysis or anything? Need to get home, check on kids. With OCD, you're never quite ready. It's an unending cycle. Now you ask me and you restarted the process in my head. So that one jumped out. D18. You?
Green?
Green. Yep. Thank you. So next open mic night was July 19th, Wednesday. Thank you for turning out on such a cold winter's night. Oh, it's not winter yet, but cold night. Hope to see you all next month. You don't have to leave straight away. There's refreshments down there. Eat, drink, have a chat. Thank you everyone for attending. I'll say 2,000. Actually,